Liz is riding in the car with her boyfriend Malcolm. They're driving out of the city, heading toward his family's cabin. On speaker, Liz is talking to her friend Maggie. Maggie can't believe Liz is actually going to spend a whole weekend out in the woods. She jokes that Malcolm probably has a secret wife and kids stashed away somewhere. Liz laughs it off, but there's something in her voice that doesn't sound fully convinced. Still, she's already on her way. They arrive at the cabin. It's completely surrounded by trees and sits far from any neighbors. Inside, the place looks simple and tidy. On the porch and in the kitchen, there's a boxed chocolate cake waiting for them. Malcolm mentions that the caretaker always leaves this cake as a tradition. Liz is a painter. Malcolm is a doctor. They unpack and settle into the rooms. That evening, they set up for their anniversary dinner. Just as they're about to eat, someone knocks on the door. Malcolm opens it, and his younger cousin Darren comes barging in, talking loudly. Darren acts like the place belongs to him too. With him is his girlfriend Minka, a model. Darren claims Minka doesn't speak much English. He keeps bragging about how he pays for everything, while Minka just stands there smiling awkwardly. They all sit down together. The boxed cake is now sitting on the kitchen counter. At one point, the men step away from the table. Minka looks at the cake, nods toward it, and in perfect English tells Liz that the cake tastes like shit. Liz realizes immediately that Darren was lying about her not speaking English. Later, after Darren and Minka leave to stay in the guest house, Malcolm and Liz are alone again. Liz mentions she doesn't even like chocolate cake. Malcolm still pushes her to have some. After he keeps insisting, she finally agrees and takes a slice. That night, Liz starts seeing quick, disturbing images. She sees women from different time periods, bloody and screaming. She sees a pregnant woman who looks exactly like her. She wakes up in the dark. The cabin is silent. But something pulls her toward the kitchen. The cake is sitting on the counter. Liz sits down and begins eating it. She eats one piece, then another and another, until almost all of it is gone. She eats like she's been starving for days. In the middle of it, she notices something strange in the cake. Between the layers, there are severed, bloody fingers baked inside. She stares at them in absolute horror. The next morning, Minka walks alone in the woods near the cabin. She hears something. She moves closer to a tree. Suddenly, an unseen force yanks her upward and out of frame. Back at the cabin, after eating the cake, Liz finds herself drawn to sketching. She creates images of scared, bloody women, just like the ones from her visions. Later, Malcolm tells Liz he has to go back to the city for work. He says an elderly patient is waking up from a coma and he needs to be there. He promises he'll return that evening. He takes the car and leaves. Liz is now alone in the cabin with no way out. She calls Maggie again and tells her things are getting weird. Maggie repeats her earlier suspicion that Malcolm might be married and that Liz is just the side girlfriend. Liz asks Maggie to come pick her up. The connection keeps dropping. After the call, strange things begin happening around her. She sees a woman standing there with a plastic bag tied around her head. When Liz looks again, the woman is gone. At one point, Liz finds Minka inside the cabin. With her is a smaller version of herself, like a tiny Minka. Minka speaks a few more clear English lines, then the image disappears like a dream. Liz doesn't know what's real and what isn't anymore. As night falls, someone bangs on the door. It's Darren. He looks shaken and he reeks of alcohol. He keeps asking Liz to let him in. She doesn't want to, but she's scared and alone, so she opens the door. Once inside, Darren's behavior is disturbing. He goes straight to the kitchen and picks up a meat cleaver. He walks around the cabin holding it. He keeps asking Liz how she felt after eating the cake. Liz quickly ducks into the bathroom and locks the door. She sits there and listens. We hear Darren moving around, talking to himself. Then we hear a sudden thud and a dragging sound. When Liz finally looks out, Darren is gone. We only see his body later, headless, being dragged away by something off-screen. Now Liz is certain there's something supernatural in this place. She calls Maggie again and begs her to come right away. The network continues cutting out. Liz can't get out. Night comes again. Malcolm returns to the cabin. He acts surprised to see Liz still there. Liz is shaking. She tells him about Darren, about Minka, about the things she's seen. Malcolm tells her she's exhausted and stressed. He says they'll leave first thing in the morning. For now, they should sit down, open a bottle of wine, and calm down. They drink together. Liz tries to relax, but Malcolm's behavior feels off. When he talks about the patient he visited, he can't recall her name properly. This sounds strange to Liz. Later, Liz slips away and goes back to the bathroom. She locks the door again, this time to get away from Malcolm. Inside a cupboard, behind some towels, she finds an old black and white photograph. In the photo, Malcolm stands with a woman and two young girls. The bathroom door opens. Malcolm steps in easily and tells her the lock never really worked. Liz holds up the photo and accuses him of hiding a wife and daughters. She tells him she wants to leave immediately. Instead of giving a normal answer, Malcolm sits her down and begins to explain. He says that about 200 years ago, when he and Darren were teenagers, they were on this same land. They saw a pregnant woman bathing in a nearby creek. She looked very much like Liz. They shot her in the leg and dragged her to a pig pen, where they locked her up. When they came back later, she had given birth to several strange children. Her eyes had turned a silver-blue color. The boys eventually shot her in the head, but the creatures born from her remained. According to Malcolm, these creatures began to live in and around the cabin. He and Darren made a deal with them. If they kept bringing young women to feed the creatures would keep the cousins alive and young far beyond a normal human life. All the different women Liz has seen, in visions and drawings, are the women who were brought here and sacrificed. The chocolate cake, Malcolm admits, is part of this ritual. It's laced with something that makes the victims weak and easy to carry away. This is what Darren did to Minka. And this is why Malcolm pushed Liz to eat the cake. Liz realizes she was never here for romance. She was here as an offering. She tries to escape through a window, but she slips and falls into the cold water outside. Malcolm pulls her out and drags her back into the cabin. He takes her down to the basement and locks the door. The basement is dark and damp. There are jars filled with thick honey sitting on a kind of shrine. From the shadows, small twisted shapes begin to move. The strange creatures crawl slowly toward Liz. The woman with the plastic bag over her head appears again in front of her. She pulls the bag off. Underneath is a face made of many faces pushed together. There are too many eyes, noses, and mouths. It looks like all the sacrificed women have been merged into one body. Liz expects an attack. Instead, the creatures move close and wrap themselves around her, like children hugging their mother. They recognize Liz. She looks exactly like the pregnant woman Malcolm and Darren shot long ago. Near them is a large jar of honey. Inside it is the severed head of that same woman, preserved. Upstairs, Malcolm thinks everything is under control. But during the night, he suddenly begins to cough. His body weakens. His hair turns gray. His skin wrinkles. All the years he's stolen come crashing back onto him. The next morning, Malcolm wakes up outside. He's hanging upside down from a tree, tied by his ankles. He's now an old man. Liz walks toward him. Her eyes are now dark, like the creature's eyes. She's calm. She lifts pieces of the chocolate cake and pushes them into Malcolm's mouth. He coughs and pleads with her. He says he loves her and begs her to let him go. Liz doesn't believe him. She grabs his head and forces it down into the jar of honey. Liz holds him there until he stops moving. The man who spent centuries feeding women to the creatures is finally fed to them himself. Liz lets go and steps away from the tree. The creatures have their new keeper. And with that, this story ends right here. Let us know in the comments how you liked this explanation. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.